Scott, good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How exciting an opportunity is this for yourself and also for the academy?
I think for myself, firstly, obviously very proud. It's an academy I've really enjoyed working for. I think obviously the club's in a great place, and also the academy over the time I've been here has also been, I think, in a place where we've been successful. We're not standing on our laurels, and we're still trying to get forward and move forward and look to progress. But from a personal point of view, really proud, and I hope for the whole academy to see somebody work within to be promoted. Then hopefully shows that we're an academy that not only develops players but hopefully develops people as well.
Because you've been here a little while now, you've had a couple of different roles. How beneficial is that experience of how this place operates?
Yeah, I think as an academy we sort of all muck in, and as well as being the 23s coach, I was also some nights coaching younger players, watching the 16s, the 13s, the 12s, discussing players. So I think we always had that mentality of mucking in. So from a point of view, I think it's just making sure that I don't see anything really changing, that I'll still be doing that, still be working with younger players, but obviously from a point of view now I've overseen it all.
But there's a nice continuity about it, and I guess you want that to flow through the academy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've worked really closely with Gareth, especially over the last year. I've really got to sort of see what he did and how his job was, and sort of respected all the sort of stuff that he had to do. It was a big shock when he left, to be fair, didn't see that coming. So for me to be obviously the one probably below to get promotion into that role, then I think shows again succession plan is important. I think transitions and different people can slow down progression, and it might be some with totally different ideas, so that's always a risk. So I think it shows that we're very close as a football club, from the first team to the academy, from the sporting director and obviously from Jeff at the top, that we all understand each other's roles and what we're trying to do, and I think succession shows that we all work close and it works.
So I was going to say, how different is the academy from the one that you first joined 5 years ago?
I think the whole club's different. So I think the academy's just followed the sort of the football club. You know, when I came here, it was very different. You know, we worked just as hard. We just had the parameters a little bit different. I think with Fosun's involvement now, obviously we can look a little bit different. And I think in the next 2 or 3 years we'll change again, and we'll look to progress, and also linking to the quality of the first team and the standards of the first team players. We have to catch up. And the first team's gone very quickly to the top, and as academy we recognise we're going to have to catch up, but we're going to work just as hard to try and catch up as well.
Because there's that element, isn't there, where you can never stand still. You've got to keep moving forward. So as much as you've been a part of what's gone, is there a fresh ideas of what changes you want to make short and long term for the future?
I think that my philosophy is always about continually checking and challenging what you're doing. Whether that was as a coach, is it what I'm doing right? What else is out there? Looking at it, Nuno's had a big influence on the playing style, obviously, of the football club. We'd be stupid not to look at that and examine it. And the 23s and the 18s play exactly the same way. So I think that's really important. But yeah, you're always looking what's out there. But it's great also to look in at some of the fantastic work that's been done here already. The production line of young players is something that's been successful, and we can also reflect on as well.
I know mental health, though, is a big part of something you'd like to see more of involved.
Yeah, I just think that I've been doing sort of a master's degree at the moment, and part of my studies of sort of looking at pathways of young players, 17 to 21, but a big subject that comes out of it is the mental health issues, and the number of players that are reporting. I think it was around about 56% of players have reported mental health issues at some point between 17 and 21, so that's a little bit scary. I think that we have to make sure we have a challenging elite environment, but in that we have to support boys and help them. They're not all going to make it, and that's the sad thing. They all come in with that dream, and we want them to have that dream, but we also have to be really honest. I think if you are more honest, then I think that creates a situation where, and a sort of environment where there's a very supportive environment that can help them.
You mentioned honest. I guess that's a key part of your character, certainly the time that I've known you. How much was that part of your discussions with Jeff Shee and the board? Yeah,
I think that Jeff and the board asked me what I would do moving forward. I was given a sort of a remit. What would you do in your first 90 days? And as you said, I don't. Even in my coaching, everything I ever do, whether it's just because I'm a Yorkshireman, I don't know, but I've always believed in being honest. I don't think you can learn from a lie, but I think, again, if you're being honest with somebody, you've got to support them. So I've always been very high challenge, high support with players. We'll be honest to say that isn't good enough. You're not going to make it if you do that, but let's go out and do some work on it. Let's look at some analysis. So I think that's really important in developing players, developing academies, developing staff. Been really proud of the number of staff that's progressed from the academy to bigger roles or to the first team. So I think you're going to develop people and help them, and I think honesty is really important.
There's always going to be an element of setting targets to measure what your achievements are. Have you thought about that yet? What are you setting for each year?
I think that always, since I've been here from day one, I've always talked about players in first team football is the key job as a youth team coach, a 23s coach, academy manager. And that's what you should be judged on. I don't think anybody really cares who won the Youth Cup the last 7 years. I don't think most people know. I think it's about developing players, and I think that our record is good. I want it to be better. As I've always said, I don't want to be talking about Morgan in 10 years' time. I want to be talking about the next one, who's the next one, and hopefully in each age group we've got 2 or 3 players that are going to be really of the level that are going to come into Wolverhampton Wanderers and get in the first team. On the other hand, also looking at recruitment, and we are looking around Europe at other players. So we know we're not just going to go, well, let's look at what's in the Midlands. You know, we're being proactive in terms of looking at what's in England, and then I've spent a little bit of time looking at players abroad as well. So, as again, sort of maximising what we can do, but also catching up with the first team and their model as well.
Because is it something that you can put a number on, or is that a difficult thing to do when you're talking about bringing players?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. You know, you can have great years, you can have poor years. I think as long as you're recognising that early, you can deal with it. If you leave it really late, then that can put a lot of pressure on you. You can sometimes make mistakes. So a big thing we talk about here from first team and academy succession planning, looking at what players we've got in the system at each age group, where do we need support, you know, where is the elite player, and we just got to make sure that we're continually checking and challenging that and making sure like that conveyor belt is there.
Because you mentioned Morgan Gibbs-White, Ryan Giles, Niall Ennis. It's been a number of players who've been getting through, and there's big hopes for them, but clearly you don't want that to be it.
No, I think that if you want to be successful, you don't just pat yourself on the back, say well done. You know, the great thing about all them 3 boys is they're all born probably within 30 minutes of Wolverhampton, so that shows there is talent here. That shows that we are doing a good job in terms of developing them. But yeah, we've got to be talking hopefully in 2 or 3 years' time about a few more. Our job is, you know, in all my years of football, really, development side of it, or as a player, I've never seen an opportunity for for young players to get into a first team like I do here now. You know, Nuno's got 16, 17 outfield players. That means if 1 or 2 injuries, the next step for that is you can't go into the transfer market. It's under 23 players, and they have to be ready. But they also have to recognise, wow, what an opportunity I've got. Because of that, most days, 4 or 5 players are training with the first team, so they have an opportunity to be working with a top coach, to be playing against Neves, Moutinho, Traore, all these top players. So in terms of their development, it's like an ultimate finishing school for their football. So, you know, we're very lucky in that way, and we've got to make sure that we're giving Nuno the right material.